Good evening, Council. Sam Weaver. I'm a citizen here in Boulder and a small business owner, and I'm really going to talk about only one subject while I'm up here, and that's rates and rate parity. I was sitting at home tonight watching on Channel 8, thinking maybe I would sit this out and just watch from the comfort of my own home what went on here. And I heard a request from David Miller that I thought was very interesting, which was he wanted to know what the rate structure would look like in Boulder if there were a lot of renewables and natural gas included in a modeling effort to look at what rates would be like. And so I just thought I would iterate to Council and to Mr. Miller that the group of us have done that over the past 6 months. So we've modeled the rates of Boulder over a 30-year utility span with startup costs, with natural gas as the primary fuel source, and with wind and solar subsidized either by the city in the solar rewards kind of manner or by buying portions of wind farms and looking at what the cost to the city would be. I'm here to tell you the really good news from that modeling effort is that for rate parity with what Xcel's at right now, we can cut our carbon emissions by 2/3. And half of that is by fuel switching to natural gas, and the rest of it's by adding renewables. And the good news also is that we're up to 40 or 45% renewables for that rate parity cost. This is looking at a $300 million startup cost, 7% interest rates, a lot of things that are within what the city consultants have said in their reports. I want to bring up one number. The Nexent report says 8.4 cents per kilowatt hours, the blended Xcel current rate. That left out the 0.3 cent a kilowatt hour that they added with fuel costs. So current rates are 8.7 cents a kilowatt hour. And all those numbers I just told you are for Homer models that are less than 8.7 cents a kilowatt hour, all in, $300 million up front, $20 million a year startup costs, including the payment in lieu of taxes and so on. So at the end of the day, I just want to say that the good news for me from 6 months of citizens modeling on this is that not only can we do it, but we can do it for as cheap or cheaper and a lot less carbon emissions. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Susan,
Thanks, Sam.
I have
Crystal?
a question to Sam. Sam, could you tell us about the model you've run? And I have seen your presentation. Thank you for coming down. But could you explain what the Homer model is, who uses it, and where your presentation is available?
Sure. Let's see, the Homer is a modeling tool that was originally started at NREL about 20 years ago, and the goal of that tool originally was modeling island or microgrid situations where you would have a diesel generator, but the cost of running that diesel generator was high, so you wanted to know how much solar or how much wind should I bring in to reduce the use of the diesel fuel. And what Homer does is you give it a menu of selections. So you say you can have 20 or 40 or 60 or 80 or 100 megawatts of wind. You can have 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 megawatts of solar, and here's your efficiencies, here's your regimes of wind and solar. You can use natural gas turbines. And so Homer optimizes for the least cost, 100% reliable mix of generation that meets the load that you tell it to serve. So you start with load, and then we started with the Fort Collins load because Xcel didn't provide us with the Boulder load. And then over 6 months, about the time that we were pretty comfortable with our model, Boulder released its hourly load model. So Homer is used all over the world to design grids, and it has evolved from those early days of doing microgrids and islands. It's evolved to being able to do grid electricity. You can connect your microgrid to a big grid, and you can do trading. You can do variable costs of electricity based on the hour of day, the time of the year, and it calculates emissions. It calculates all kinds of emissions, not just carbon dioxide, but SOx and NOx and pretty much anything associated with fossil fuel generation. So I would be happy to share with anybody, you know, on your free time and mine, what Homer can and can't do. The guy who spun Homer out of NREL is here in Boulder. His name's Peter Lilienthal. He was kind enough to give us a peer review of our model to make sure that we weren't missing anything major, either in the way we had set up the generators or the renewable energy or the economics. So,
Lisa?
Could you tell us where the public could find your presentation,
yes, I'm
please?
sorry. Yeah, it's renewablesYes.org has put these results up. I'm not anything official with renewables, yes, I'm not on the steering committee, but you can get not only the Homer model, you can get the summaries with spreadsheets of what the results are, because it can be hard. For Homer, you have to pay the whopping sum of $100 to get the version of it that we use for our modeling. And so if you don't want to do the Homer, you just pull off the report, or you can pull off the spreadsheets and take a look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.